Good evening, and welcome to the Unofficial Video Game Show. My name is Ross Gillespie.
And my name is Emma Lewis.
And there's a space on the settee where Tom Knight should be. Unfortunately, he's not available this week because he has man flu. Anyway, he's not missing much because this week's show is a little bit off canter. Because what we're doing is good games that are bad, and bad games that have been quite good. Where shall we begin?
I think we should begin with Final Fantasy.
Yes, my selection, because we're doing 2 games each this week, is Final Fantasy 13, newest game to the collection of Final Fantasy games. And anyone who grew up with the PlayStation, like me, would have started on 7, 8 and 9, and then moved on to 10 and 11 for PS2. And generally speaking, Final Fantasy's always been very good. I mean, even going back to the SNES games, the whole history of Final Fantasy, there's always been a build of story, gameplay, and fantastic graphics. But this is fantastic graphics only. There's almost no story, or rather it has a story, but it's all told for you.
So, did you have interaction with the story in the other games?
Well, the basic line is, to cut a long story short, because we only have a few minutes to talk about the game, is that everything's automatic. In the old games, when you got into a battle, you would have to choose attack, magic, heal, item, summon monsters, things like that. You'd actually spend time looking at that. If you played Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, it's called active battle, so everyone's time bar would go up, and if you didn't pick your attack quick enough, they would attack you. Final Fantasy 10 got rid of that and made it really tactical, so everybody had a choice and could see what was coming, whereas this has an automatic button to push, and you do that, press X, automatically does everything, press X, automatically does everything. You only control one character, and even then, if that one character dies with the other 2 characters in the fight, because there's 3 of you fighting, dies, and then that's it, it's over. Game over.
So on average, how many characters did you used to have control of?
Well, in Final Fantasy X, you had 8. Final Fantasy 7, you did have 9, but then Hades died at the end of this one. So it's always been around 7 or 8 characters. You have 6 characters in the game, and battle system throughout the Final Fantasy has been either 3 in a battle or 4 in a battle. But you always had choice of each of those characters as they took turns. It's a turn-based game. This is a turn-based game, but you only get to control the turn of one player, and the other 2 are automatic. And it's either too hard or too difficult, but the most important thing is that there is no gameplay. There's no choice on the battlefront, and when you're in the actual game itself, you're walking through a tunnel. You don't have any left, right, you don't have freedom of movement, there's no world map to explore. It's A to B to C. You cannot go back.
So we don't recommend it.
Final Fantasy 13 probably has a great story, and I'll finish it eventually. I've got to the final boss, and I've been beaten twice, and I will complete it. My sister bought me it for my birthday, and it's a fantastic movie. Alright, it's not a game, and it's really sad because it's got all these gamey elements that you could get. Exploring your character, upgrading your abilities, upgrading your weapons is a really good thing. But they just stripped it down so much that in one of the reviews it was called Press X13, because all you do is press the X button constantly for 13 days in a row until you finally complete the game. And it just feels unfinished. There's no extra gameplay, there's only 2 side quests, and you can only go back to one side quest at the opening up of the game.
Okay, so how about a bad game that's actually good?
Bad game's quite good. Well, the only one I could think of off the top of my head, not an RPG. Are we still sticking with RPGs, or are we?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you had an RPG, I thought.
No, you mentioned Resident Evil.
I did mention Resident Evil, but I mean, Resident Evil 4 wasn't necessarily a bad game, it just wasn't Resident Evil. And Resident Evil 5, to me, still wasn't Resident Evil. It was a good game to play, but it was in a bad setting. So that, whereas you would play Resident Evil 3, or Resident Evil Code Veronica, Resident Evil 2, my favourite Resident Evil, you go walking about in the dark, zombies and lickers and running around. Resident Evil 5, you're running around in Africa in the middle of the day, and the zombies aren't really zombies, they're sort of people that can walk and talk. So it's not a bad game, it's just a bad Resident Evil, I think. Still a good game for the price. Final Fantasy and Resident Evil 5, easily picked up for about 30-40 quid, maybe cheaper. We're not saying, I wouldn't say Resident Evil 5 is a bad game, it's just if you're used to Resident Evil games, it's pretty bad. But anyone who's bought Final Fantasy before, I'm glad to say Final Fantasy 13 is a bad game. It's a graphical highlight of the PS3. But not a little more than that, and it's a shock because a lot of Final Fantasy fans have even turned against Square who make the game. Capcom, I don't know if they're making a Resident Evil 6, they haven't announced anything yet, but lots and lots of spin-offs. I mean, there's been bad Resident Evil games, Umbrella Conspiracies, the Umbrella Chronicles, a lot of the first-person shooters on the Wii. Now, the Wii is not an adult game. It's not. It's a kids' console. It does work with most of the games.